Hello guys, welcome to all of you in this Impact Academy presents a series on HTML day 5, and we are approaching towards our end of this session. And today I am going to discuss these important topics: HTML graphics and media, and then HTML URL encode and HTTP messages. So I hope you all are well on this COVID-19 pandemic situation. So with that, I'm going to start today's session. So now we are starting with HTML graphics. So in HTML graphics, there are two different approaches. So the number one is HTML canvas and the number two is SVG. But this HTML canvas uses script. So that is why we will discuss it during our JavaScript tutorial. Okay. So now we are starting with SVG. So this SVG stands for Scalable Vector Graphics, and it is used to define graphics for the web. Okay. So whatever the code of SVG, you have to write it under this SVG tag. Okay. Okay, so here I'm just writing a code which creates a rectangle. Okay. So here with this SVG tag, I am just using two different attributes. One is width and another is height. Now, what is the purpose of this height and width attribute? This height and width attribute basically defines the height and width of the rectangle which I am going to create. Okay. So here I'm just set the height 300 and the width 500. Okay. So now here I am use the rect tag. Okay. So this rect tag defines a rectangle. Okay. So here I am just set the width 500, similar as that, and the height is 300. Okay. Now here is an important attribute, style. Okay. So this style is basically a global attribute. Okay. So here in this style, basically this style attribute says the CSS properties of an element. Okay. So actually when we have our CSS tutorial, then I will discuss it properly, but for now I'm just going to tell this in a nutshell. So actually here are different properties differentiated with this semicolon. Okay. So fill is a property, stroke width is a property, and stroke is a property. Okay. And here after this colon, I am just setting this properties value. Okay. So what is the value of the property? I am just set that after this colon. Okay. So this fill property basically defines that with which color I am going to fill the rectangle. Okay. So here I just give the hexadecimal color code of that color, and here this stroke width property defines that what is the stroke width, means what is the width of the border of the rectangle. Okay. So here I'm just set the value of this property 10, and there is another property that is stroke. So this stroke basically defines the border color of the rectangle. Okay. So here I just use another hexadecimal color code as a property value of stroke. Okay. So I think you guys understood it. Now I'm going to run this code. Okay. Just a minute. Okay. So here you can see that this is my rectangle here, and here is the stroke width, that is 10, and here is my stroke color. Okay. And here is another color by which my rectangle is filled. Okay. Here I am going to show you a rounded rectangle. Okay. So here similarly I am using this rect tag, and here I just give the value of x coordinate 50 and y coordinate 20. Okay. And what is this Rx and Ry? Rx and Ry means radius of x and radius of y. Okay. So in which angle my x and y coordinate is actually rotating, I have to set those values. Okay, so I am set those values as 20. Okay, as 20, and my width is 150 and my height is 150. Okay, so here in this style attribute I am just fill my rectangle by the color red, and the stroke color is black, the stroke width is 5, and opacity means transparency is 0.5. Okay, so these are some basic attributes that are used with this rectangle, and by this Rx attribute and Ry attribute I am going to create a rounded rectangle. Okay, so I am just going to save this code. Okay, once, just a minute. Okay, so now you can see this is my rounded rectangle. Okay, so this is my rounded rectangle. Here I just write a code to create a circle. So to create a circle, here I use circle tag, and here I just set the x coordinate as 50 and y coordinate as 50, and the radius is 40. Okay, and the stroke is green, and my stroke width is 4, and the color of this circle is yellow. Okay, so these are the attributes that are used with the circle tag. So now I'm going to just save this code, and now I'm going to run this code. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so now you can see here is my circle. So that is how you can create a circle using SVG. Now I am going to show you how to create a polygon using SVG. Okay, so within a SVG tag you have to use polygon tag. Okay, and here I just give the points of polygon. Suppose I want to create a pentagon. Okay, so I have to give the 5 pair of points. Okay, so this is one pair, this is one pair, this is one pair, this is one pair, and this is one pair. Okay, so there are 5 pair of points, that is, it is a pentagon. Okay, and in this every pair of point, this is the value of x coordinate, and this is the value of y coordinate. Okay, so like that, here I give the 5 pair of points, and here in this style attribute I want to fill my pentagon with line color, and the stroke color is purple, the stroke width is 5, and the fill rule is even odd. Okay, so it is another property, that is fill rule, and I am just setting the value of this fill rule as even odd. We will discuss these properties in CSS in detail. Okay, so now I am going to save my code, and I am going to run my code. Sorry, so just see. Okay, so here is my polygon. Okay, so you can see it. Okay, so we are done with the SVG basics. Actually, SVG is a vast topic, and here I just give you a basic introduction of SVG, but I think we have detailed discussions on SVG later on. So now I am moving to HTML multimedia, and I am starting with HTML audio files. Okay, so you can embed audio files in HTML. So I already used that audio tag in HTML. I think you guys can remember. So there are several formats of audio files. Okay, so here I just give a list, but there are some specific formats that are supported by HTML5. Otherwise, HTML cannot support your audio file. Okay, so what are the formats that are supported by HTML? So the first is WAV. Okay, so WAV, this WAV extension is supported by HTML. It is developed by IBM and Microsoft. It plays well on Windows, Macintosh, and Linux operating systems, and it is supported by HTML. Okay, and the second is OGG. Okay, so this OGG file extension is also supported by HTML, and it is developed by the ZIF Organization Foundation. Okay, and it is supported by HTML. And the last one is MP3. Okay, these MP3 files are actually the sound part of MPEG files. Okay, so you have to know the full form of MPEG. This MPEG means Motion Pictures Expert Group. Okay, so the sound part of these MPEG files are MP3 files. Okay, and this MP3 is the most popular format for music players. It combines good compression with high quality, and it is supported by all browsers. So these three are the extensions, the audio extensions that are supported by HTML5. Okay, so now I am going to discuss about HTML supported video formats. Okay, so here I give a list of video formats, and you all know that the first video format is MPEG. Okay, MPEG, that is moving pictures expert group, and it is the first popular video format on the web, but nowadays it is not supported anymore in HTML. Okay, so it is not supported by HTML. So here are basically these three extensions that are supported by HTML. So the first is OGG, and I already told you that it is developed by the ZIF Organization Foundation, and it is supported by HTML. And the second is WebM. Okay, so this WebM is developed by Mozilla, Opera, Adobe, and Google. Okay, so actually the collaboration of these four companies, so they developed this WebM. Okay, and it is supported by HTML. And it is nowadays most popular format, that is MP4 or MPEG4, and it is developed by the Moving Pictures Expert Group, and it is commonly used in video cameras and TV hardwares. Okay, and it is supported by all browser and recommended by YouTube. Okay, so these three formats are supported in HTML. Now here I am going to show you how to give a video in your web page, how you can edit by HTML. Okay, so here I just use video tag, and in this video tag I here just give the height and width. Okay, so the height is 1080 and the width is 1920. Okay, and the controls is true. Basically this controls attribute defines the player controls. Okay, so if it is true, then it shows the player controls. Okay, that is play, pause, or zoom, okay, etc. That are player controls. And within this video tag you have to use source tag. Okay, so this is similar like audio tag. Okay, in audio tag we just write this audio tag, and then within that audio tag I am using source tag. So like that, similarly within this video tag you have to use the source tag. Okay, and in the source tag I just give the path of my video, so it is in same folder with this HTML file. So here I just give the file name Impact Academy teaser.mp4, and here I just type that video or oblique mp4. Okay, and so if you have OGG format, then you have to write video oblique OGG, and if you have WAMV format, then you have to write video oblique WAMV. Okay, So that is how you can change the type, and you have to give the correct type of your video. Okay, so here I'm just going to run my code. Okay, so here you can see, here is my video, and I'm just going to run this. Okay, so here you can see that my video is working properly. Okay, so that is how you can add a video in your web page. Okay, so if you want to give a video from YouTube or Facebook or any other website or any other site, so then there is another technique. Suppose I go to youtube.com, and here I'm just write Impact Academy HTML. Okay, so this is our channel, and suppose I want to give this video in my website. Okay, so here you can see, here is a share option. So I'm just click on this share option, and here is another option within share, that is embed. Okay, so I'm just click on this embed. So you can see here is a iframe tag. Okay, and within this iframe tag there are several attributes. Okay, so if you just copy this code, and if you just paste this code within your HTML, then this video is directly associated with your web page. Okay, so I just copy this code, and now I'm going to use this code here directly. Okay, so directly I'm just pasting this embed code, and now I'm going to save my file, and now I am going to okay. So now you can see here is my video is available from YouTube. Okay, so if you just click on it, then you can see. Hello guys, welcome to the series of HTML by Academy. Okay, so this is how you can embed a video from YouTube or Facebook to your website. Okay. Okay, so now in this HTML multimedia, there is a last topic, that is how to embed or how to add a map or a location in your website. Okay, so let's see. Just open the Google Map. Okay, so here is the map of Kolkata. So suppose I just want to suppose I want to pin this Columbia Asia Hospital, Salt Lake, Kolkata. Okay, so here is my Columbia Asia Hospital, Salt Lake, Kolkata, and I just click on share. Okay, so here you can see here is two options. One is send a link, and another is embed a map. So you have to click on embed a map. Okay, so here you can see here the map size. You can use it, or you can choose it according to your choice. So suppose here I just click on medium. Okay, and here is your HTML code, and here is the option copy HTML. Okay, so you just copy this HTML, and now I'm just going to paste this HTML code here. Okay, and now I'm going to save this code. Now let's check what happens. Okay, so here is my HTML file. Okay, so now you can see when I run this HTML code, then here is my location that is already added in my website. Okay, so now we are moving on URL encoding. Okay, so basically URL means uniform resource allocator. Okay, so uniform resource allocator is basically a web address. Okay, a web address in a vast form, that is actually URL. So basically, when a user search something in a web browser, then web browser sends a request to the web server. Okay, and then web server takes that request and it generates an HTTP status message. Okay, which is sent by the server to the web browser. And according to that HTTP status message, browser will fetch the data from the server and browser generate the results which is shown by the user. Okay, so that is how the exactly this whole thing is happening. Okay, and now that every web page has an unique URL. Okay, so there are actually several parts of a URL. Okay, so what is URL? I just want to show you, just a minute. Okay, so suppose here I am just searching our website academyimpact.blogspot.com. Okay, so this is our website. Now suppose I copy this. Okay, suppose I copy this and suppose I just paste this. Okay, just a minute. I just paste this. Okay, so now you can see this is my whole URL. Okay, this is my whole URL, and now there are several parts of an URL. So I'm going to tell that parts in detail. Okay, so now you can see there are different parts of an URL. So these 6 parts are scheme, prefix, domain, port, path, and file name. Okay, so these are the 6 parts of an URL. Now again, these 6 parts are divided into so many categories, but this is the general format. Okay, so now first, okay, just a minute. So this HTTPS, okay, this HTTPS, sorry, this HTTPS, this is the scheme name. Okay, and again there is prefix. Okay, so this prefix is generally www. Okay, that is World Wide Web, you all know that. This www is default prefix for HTTPS or HTTP. Okay, so that is the prefix, and then domain. Okay, so here this is the domain, academyimpact.blogspot.com. Okay, so this is the domain name, and there is a port. Okay, and for www, sorry, for HTTP or HTTPS, the default port is 80. Okay, the default port is 80, and there is path and file name. So actually I just open my, sorry, I am just opening our academy's website, but if I want to open a file, then after this URL there is a path, and that path basically shows the destination folder of the file. Okay, so here I'm just opening my academy website, so that is why the path and file name is not showing here. So these are the basic different parts of an URL. Okay, so I think you guys understood it. Now I'm moving to today's last topic, that is HTTP status messages. Okay, so as I have told you, when browser requests a search from the server, then the server generates a HTTP status message. Okay, now this HTTP status message, that is hypertext transfer protocol status message, that is also part of HTML. Okay, but actually this HTTP status message is basically generated by PHP and ASP or JavaScript. Okay, so these languages generally generate this HTTP status message, but these languages are also used with HTML. Okay, so that is why this HTTP status message is also part of HTML, and you have to understand it. Okay, so what is this HTTP status message? Okay, so there are several types of HTTP status messages, and you guys already showed this HTTP status message. Suppose you're just typing an address, or you just search anything, and suppose there is an error, that is 404 error. Okay, so what is that? That 404 error is also a HTTP status message. Okay, so there are basically some group of HTTP messages. So there are basically 5 types of HTTP messages. Okay, so one is of information type. Okay, one is of information type, you can see it here. So within that there are 3 messages: 100, 101 and 103. So 100 means continue. That means the server has received the request headers and the client should proceed to send the request body. Okay, so that is the meaning of this 100 HTTP message. Okay, and there are then 101, 103, like that. There are so many HTTP status messages. So I am attaching this HTTP status messages in the description of this video. So I am requesting you to go through these notes of HTTP status messages. Okay, so then another type of HTTP status messages is successful. Okay, so there is 200, 201, like that. They are started from 2. Okay, now sorry. Okay, so now there are also some another messages, that is redirection. Okay, so for redirection, the HTTP messages related to redirection are started with 3. Okay, so there are so many HTTP status messages and their descriptions are given here. Then another type of HTTP status messages is client error. Okay, so these messages are started with 4. And finally, this is the last type of HTTP status message, that is server error. Okay, and this type of messages are started with 5. Okay, so these are the 5 types of HTTP status messages. So I think you guys understood today's session properly. But if you have any questions or doubts, then please post it in the comment section of this video, and don't forget to fill out the feedback form given in the description of the video. Okay, so goodbye guys, see you again in the day 6. Stay safe and stay home.